I've heard some people saying that this 200 freestyle final from the 2023 World Swimming Championships in Fukuoka, Japan wasn't an upset. But I'm going to call it that because that's how I see it. David Popovici is a superstar. He's got a lot of pressure on him, whether he allows himself to feel it or not. And with that comes high expectations of performance. When you break Cesar Cielo's 100 freestyle world record before your 18th birthday, that tends to happen. But David Popovici came into World Championships as a relatively heavy favorite, I would say, in the 100 freestyle, at least from my point of view, and a stronger favorite than that in the 200 freestyle. Now, freestyle at the World Championships has proven both on the men's and the women's side to be stacked. Absolutely stacked. The 50s might be a little behind in terms of depth and top end talent and world record potential, but for the most part, all of these freestyle events are loaded and they are deep. The men's 200 freestyle was no exception. And when you've got a heat of 8 guys ready to fire off some 144s and 145s in a final, you've got to be sharp and you got to be on your game or you're going to end up in a tricky spot. Coming into the final, it looked like Popovici was toying with some speed changes in the prelims and the semifinals and just kind of making his way into the final of the 200 freestyle. It's a luxury that some of these really, really top-end athletes have, is that they can kind of experiment. You know, if we go back to Leon Marchand's 400 IM, you know, he likes to really rip that first 200. I'm assuming we'll see the same thing kind of in the 200 IM. He'll rip that first 100 and get kind of a trial run in the big pool with the people watching, the lights on of that takeout in that race. But then he can kind of shut it down and just work his way into finals. So when I was watching Popovici swim, I thought that's what we were watching. And maybe it was. But he got into the final, and if you watched it, then you're going to know what I'm going to say next. And I'm going to break down the race 50 by 50. But if you didn't watch it, I'll link a video in the description. If you're domestic, aka in the United States, you'll probably be able to watch it. But if not, close your eyes and imagine what I'm going to tell you. Just imagine you're watching David Popovici go out in the first 50 in 23.74. He went out quick. He went out really quick, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is his fastest first 50 takeout in the 200 freestyle. But from there, he kept firing. He was out 50.1 at the 100. Pretty typical for Popovici. Not his fastest 100, but it's right up there with his fastest 100 takeout. And then he was 116.78, which as I was watching the race, I thought I had him kind of coming in the range of 142 high to 143 low based on that 150 split, but also pretty typical for him. Matt Richards came home in 26.53 to get gold in 144.30, and I'll pop the splits up on the screen next to me so you can kind of read along. Tom Dean came home in 26.42 to get the silver in 144.32. The Brits go 1-2. The lads got 1-2 after a bummer of a DQ in the prelims of the 400 freestyle relay, and they're looking hot, H-O-T, hot, to get the win in the 800 freestyle relay. And I would expect to see some very safe starts from the GB team in the prelims of that 800 freestyle relay. And then David Popovici closed in 28.12, the slowest split in the field, to go 114.90, take 4th place, and miss out on a medal. I want to address 2 things relatively quickly. Firstly, the GB boys know how to balance. That's Great Britain boys, the lads that went 1-2. Matt Richards and Tom Dean know how to balance being exciting and having class. Matt Richards, while I can't tell you exactly what he said to Popovici, floated over the lane rope and seemed to immediately try to say something. I'm assuming along the lines of, it happens, we're going to run this back, we're 2 incredible swimmers, this isn't the last time we're going to race, I can't wait to see in the next one, something like that. And then Matt Richards and Tom Dean both did awesome interviews, which I'll link in the description, where they balanced talking about how they're going to go crush the 800 freestyle relay. No one can take them in the 800 freestyle relay, which I don't think anyone can. And also talking about the race and how it felt and being interesting and candid, top notch all around. Secondly, I was shocked after this race, but not for the reason I think most people are thinking, which is just black and white, he lost. We've kind of made him larger than life after what he did last summer and throughout his short yet already impactful career. And we tend to do that in this sport. We tend to build up and prop up immortality, the idea of someone that can't be beat. It's really similar to boxing. Being 22-0 in boxing is light years different than being 22-1. In the UFC, you have men and women with multiple losses on their records, getting title shots and winning belts. And I think in swimming, we start off with these young athletes with a boxing mentality. Immortal, unbeatable, never before seen talents. We love to put those words out there and try to build them up as someone that is never going to be beat. And we rely on things like Michael Phelps winning 8 gold medals and world records and stuff along these lines. And I don't really have an opinion on whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. And I also don't think I can tell you whether or not you're allowed to do that. I think it's on the individual athlete and their support crew to be able to know their worth and, know that even if they lose, they're still David Popovici. They're still Caleb Dressel. They're still Summer McIntosh. And I think when these big names do lose, a weight is lifted off of their shoulders, that weight of immortality, the expectation of being 22-0, 23-0, 24-0, and then being a 5 belt holder in the boxing world, because they have like 9 different belts. It's a really confusing space. I don't understand it at all. But getting that loss, kind of makes it feel like kind of I got that out of the way. Now let's have some fun. And with Popovici, I didn't really have the mentality going into this race that he was unbeatable. He was a pretty heavy favorite for sure. No doubt in my mind, a heavy favorite. But what made it so interesting, we'll call it interesting, and my second point of the two after I got a little sidetracked, was that this was the first time for me I had seen a field of athletes close on David. He's the back half specialist. He's the closer. He's got 5 of the top 10 second 50 splits in the history of the 100 freestyle. So seeing him come home in 28 in the 200 freestyle, I think it caught a lot of people off guard. With that being said, I've still got David Popovici as a favorite to win the 100 freestyle. I think that dude's just kind of built different mentally, and I think he's going to bounce back and have a fire lit underneath him. And he's going to go out like a train and hopefully come home in 23.99, because I've been hoping for that in the 100 freestyle. But I don't have him as a huge favorite. I probably got him as like a plus 105. Which means if you bet $100, you get $105 back. So it's a lot of risk. Kyle Chalmers is the reason for that. He looked incredible in the 400 freestyle relay for Australia, went like 46.5 or something like that, 40, something around those lines. Pan Zhen Li for China looks incredible. He's a 47 200 freestyle. Guy Caribe is really, really good, as we all know, but he also split a really sneaky 46 on the 400 freestyle relay for Brazil. And so listen, Popovici is human. He's an incredibly fast, water-based human individual, but he is human. We all are. Thanks for watching, y'all. Hit that like button so YouTube decides to blast this video out to more swimmers so they can learn about this channel. We can grow this channel, and we can turn this into something really cool. I've got some plans that I would love to figure out how to do on this channel, love to figure out how to bring different and hopefully better content to this channel in the future. So hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, commenting, and engaging in general is how you're going to help with that cause. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.